All right, so chicken Parmesan has a reputation for being quite dramatic, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not having it. This gluten-free version skips the frying, skips the dredging, skips the fancy ingredients, but it all bakes up golden, crispy, and delicious, and ready to serve in less than 30 minutes. I'm going to show you how to make this easy recipe. All right, I have a really quick and yummy marinara that I make for this recipe. Honestly, you can skip it and use jarred marinara, but it only takes about 20 minutes and it's mostly just simmering on the stove. So I like to get it started, and then while I'm breading the chicken, it's simmering away and then everything's ready at the same time. So I have about a tablespoon of olive oil, and then I'm just gonna saute about 2 to 3 cloves of minced garlic in the oil. Okay, after about 30 seconds, then I have a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. Now, learn from my mistakes. So if you pour this into the hot pan, it's going to splatter out and you're gonna get tomato sauce all over you. You might get burned, it's gonna be a whole thing. What I recommend doing is removing the pan from the heat before putting the tomato sauce in, just to protect yourself. And then once that's in, you could return it back to the stove and we'll add in our seasonings. For our seasonings, I have 3/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, just because it brings out that sweetness in the tomatoes, 1/4 teaspoon of oregano, 1/4 teaspoon of dried basil, and then a pinch of crushed red pepper. And then that's it. That's your marinara. It's all kitchen staple seasonings in it, so you just need your can of crushed tomatoes, which is way cheaper than buying a jar of marinara. And then this is just going to simmer for about 20 minutes just to kind of build those flavor, and you're ready to use it. For this recipe, you need a 1/2 cup of gluten-free breadcrumbs. Now, I am never a fan of buying specialty gluten-free ingredients because they're ridiculously expensive. So what I do is, when I make my own gluten-free bread at home, I keep it in the freezer. So if you have bread that's broken apart or dried out or past its prime, I don't like eating the heels of the bread, so I'll put these in the freezer too. And then this is what I use for breadcrumbs. So usually about 1 slice of bread is about a 1/2 cup. I have 2 slices here just because I'm gonna make a little extra just in case. I throw it in my food processor, combine it, and then that's it. So if you want, after the breadcrumbs come out of the food processor, you can also throw them on a baking sheet and toast them in the oven, or you could just put them in a non-stick frying pan that's completely dry without any oil on it and toast them on the oven too. This is going to bake again in the oven, so I feel like the breadcrumbs are gonna dry out on their own, so I'm just gonna use them fresh like that. So you need a 1/2 cup of gluten-free breadcrumbs, and then I have a 1/2 cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. For the seasonings, since I don't have Italian breadcrumbs here, I have about 3/4 of a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and then 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, and then a 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground pepper. Now, here's a little extra thing that I like to add to gluten-free breading, because the gluten doesn't have anything to bind it together. There's no gluten in it, so I feel like gluten-free breading has a tendency to fall apart, or it falls off your chicken or whatever you're breading. So I have a tablespoon of cornstarch, and this just helps bind everything together and helps it stick onto the chicken. Okay, and then just mix that to combine, and then that is your breading. I have 6 chicken cutlets, and that just means thinly sliced chicken. So here's another shortcut and a more affordable way to get chicken cutlets. I just buy chicken breasts, then cut them in half lengthwise, open it up like a book so you have 2 halves laid open, and slice through the middle. Once you have those 2 slices, I just use a meat mallet and pound it slightly just so the chicken has an even thickness throughout. That way when you're baking it, everything bakes at the same rate. You won't have one half of the chicken really tall where the other half is skinny, so you don't risk getting overdone chicken and then undercooked chicken. So I do something a little unusual before I dredge it in the breading. I'm just gonna transfer this to a bowl, my 6 cutlets, and instead of a flour dredge or an egg dip, what I like to use instead is just some olive oil drizzled. I have about maybe 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil to just coat that chicken in. And this does 2 things. This will help the breading stick onto the chicken without an egg or flour dredge. And then also, as it bakes, it has the oil coating on the chicken, so it bakes up a little crispier since we're skipping the frying. We're gonna bake this in the oven, but we still want it nice and crisp, so that oil that's coating the chicken helps do that. All right, so we're ready to dip the chicken. I have a baking sheet that has a nice coating of olive oil on it too. So I'm gonna take my coated chicken breast, just dip it in the chicken mixture. Also the Parmesan cheese with the breadcrumbs helps this bake up crispy too without frying. And then just transfer that over to your baking sheet. Okay, before I pop this in the oven, you could put it in the oven now, but I like to add a little something to make it extra crispy. I have this olive oil mister, or you could do nonstick cooking spray, but I just like to spray the tops with this. And then this is gonna go in a 425 oven for 10 minutes. I'll flip the chicken, spray the other side of the tops, and then it cooks for about 5 to 10 minutes longer. That's it. Since this is a thinner cut chicken, it doesn't take that long. At that point, your marinara is done. We could add the cheese and broil it. It's super fast and easy. Hey, real quick, if you have been stress Googling gluten-free recipes, I made these for you. They are your new kitchen best friend. No gluten-free drama for the whole family. We all just sit down and eat one meal with real, recognizable ingredients you could pick up at your local grocery store. Everything is simple, easy, and totally doable. Life is too short for bad gluten-free food. I have you covered. I have all the links in the description below. All right, the last thing we have to do is just assemble it and put it under the broil for probably only like 2 minutes it takes. So I'm gonna just spoon a little bit of the marinara on top. You will have more marinara than you need, which is fine because you could use it for serving if people want extra sauce, or if you're making pasta or anything else to toss in that marinara, you could use it for that as well. Okay, best part, cheese. I have freshly grated. Make sure you do freshly grated because it melts the best. Mozzarella to put on top. The other thing you could do is buffalo mozzarella. You can slice it and lay those on top. That's really delicious. Okay, here's your easy 30-minute weeknight dinner that totally looks like fancy Italian restaurant vibes. If you go to the link in the description, I also have air fryer directions too, which will make this even faster. I normally serve this with, I have a hands-off oven-baked risotto that I'll link to, so that could cook at the same time as this. You could do gluten-free pasta, or I have an amazing gluten-free focaccia bread that you can like drive around that extra marinara sauce in. It is so good. I am gonna dig into this right now because my kitchen smells amazing, but thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.